Hello, everyone. So, there are a few aspects of our lives where we probably feel constantly like we do not have what we need. We don't have enough. And maybe this is something that just happens in certain situations, but for a lot of us, it's something that like we wake up and it's sort of nagging at us constantly. Like maybe somebody feels this about money or relationships or, not being validated enough, and this sort of keeps recurring. And so you see all these books, podcasts about how to make more money and how to figure out what you want to do. But that's why on this channel we don't talk about all of the self-help and tactics and strategies. We talk about spirituality, we talk about gnosis and Kabbalah, because a lot of the times when we feel this lack, when we feel this fear that we don't have what we need, we try and solve this by seeking out external solutions, whether it's book, whether it's advice, or whether it's someone that will listen to us and validate what we're going through. And frankly, this is not what we need. We oftentimes forget that the light is actually within us. Everything, the guidance, the inspiration, the abundance, the wholeness, the certainty about everything is actually always within us. So we don't talk about how to resolve this through external solutions. We talk about what's blocking us from accessing that, because it's always there. The divine inspiration for that project you want to do, the ideas about what you want to start, what you want to do with your life, how to attract the right people, it's all there. And we simply have things within us, you can call it egos, illusions, reactions, mechanical nature within us that blocks us from accessing that light. So we must always remember that the light is always there, and we don't need to go and find the light. Rather, we need to destroy what's blocking us from accessing it. So let's look at the screen, because that's exactly what's going on. We have our self. This is us. This is us. We go throughout our life, and as we go throughout our day and talk to people and encounter all sorts of experiences in the physical gym of life, then we learn about what is within our vessel, because this is what's blocking us from the light. And when we go throughout our day, we get to see the klipot. So what is this? This is simply what's blocking us from the light. And so with the klipot, there's layers to it. And there's actually 49 layers to this subconscious and infraconscious design of the klipot within ourselves. And as we dissolve that, then we reveal more qualities of the light. And so there's layers to it. So like on one layer, you might say, oh, I'm going to the gym because I want to look better so that I can be validated more. Okay, you're starting to gain comprehension so that you can dissolve these layers of the klipot. But then a little bit deeper than that, there's layers to it, right? So like, okay, well, maybe there's somebody at the gym that you secretly are trying to go to the gym so that you can like gain their attention. And then maybe deeper than that, really deeper, like going more subconscious, maybe you actually know that this person is married, and part of you wants to like infiltrate the marriage in a way. And then maybe it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So as we go and experience our day, we see these whispers in our mind of like, oh, this is like a deceptive way in which I try to be reactive and take from people. These are those evil little pockets of darkness. And of course, as you dissolve that and you go deeper, then you reveal more light, which gives you more awareness. And then those whispers that seem a bit more obvious, you start to go subtle and more deceptive, and you see deeper and deeper, like, oh, wow, I was only at the tip of the iceberg. And if we were really honest with ourselves, we would realize that we have no position to think that we are like developed, because things go so deep and there are such profound layers of darkness within each of us that we would never fathom we would have. So we must keep that in mind when we go into observing our klipot. And I'm just kind of giving you an overview. I'll describe how we do all of this and give us some actionable advice, but this is essentially what we need to do. As long as we are attached to the layers of the klipot, which go deeper and deeper and deeper, we cannot reveal the light. And when we cannot reveal the light, that means that we can't attract the right people because we're blocked from that vibration. We can't attract the right ideas. We can't attract the right people. We can't embody spiritual wholeness and happiness within ourselves. And, if you want money, if you want a relationship, with all of us want these things. But as long as you are not at the vibration at which you already have it, then you cannot attract it, because only things work regarding the vibration. If you are not at the vibration of wealth, then you cannot attract wealth. It's not because you didn't start the right business no, it's all vibration. So all of these things are related. All of what we really want is dependent on how connected we are to the light. So this is the light. This is the klipot that blocks us from the light. And this is good. This is why we're in the physical gym of life, because everything, we want to reveal the light, right? Well, how do we do that? We have to see the veil. We have to see the clouds. We have to disintegrate the clouds. We have to destroy the clouds. Otherwise, we cannot reveal the light, which means what? Every time we're seeing the clouds, this is super, super good. It's actually good. It's actually good. If you wake up and you feel horrible about yourself, and then you try to go to events, but you feel really insecure, that's good. If you're at a party and you feel extremely socially anxious and you feel like no one wants to actually talk to you, that's good. If you're trying to start a business, but you don't know what to do and you feel overwhelmed, that's good. Why? Because your vessel specifically came to this physical gym of life so that it could disintegrate those clouds, which we have accumulated through everything is cause and effect. This has only happened because of things that have happened in our past lives and darkness that has been accumulated. But what happens if we are reactive and instead of working on disintegrating these elements in ourselves, we identify with them? Well, this veil gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it like duplicates. It becomes like this. It becomes like this. It becomes like this, you see? So then what happens? Then people feel good for a moment, and then they more and more and more get disconnected from the light. And most people if you look at our society, everything that's going on in the world is a reflection of this. And we can say like humanity's state right now is it's at an extreme level of disconnection. But this is an opportunity for us to connect to the light. Because if we really looked at humanity and ourselves with honesty, we would see that the level of disconnection is pretty terrifying, which is why it's very urgent for us to take these works seriously, because when we feed the klipot, we further disconnect ourselves from the light and we push away the miracles. We push away the wealth. We push away the relationship. We push away the happiness. So if we can experience pain instead of suffering, pain is actually good. It's like going to the gym. Like you feel good, like you want that. And you break the muscle and you build the muscle. That's what we want. But what we don't want is to not go to the gym and then just keep taking instant gratification, and then one day having our doctor tell us like, hey, like you've been like now the universe has to kind of like push you to do it. But if we can proactively disintegrate our klipot, then we can reveal the light in our life. And this is exactly what we want. So this is just an overview. I hope that makes sense. And let's talk about how to do this. So we have the three brains. We have the mind. This is where a lot of us think our brain only is like, what are we thinking? And we try to control our life with planning and thinking and logic. But this is not what we want to do, because this is the intellectual center, which is really only a tool. And I'll get into that later. The next brain is this one in blue, the emotional center in the heart. So if I tell you to imagine your dog or like your best friend, you'd feel that in your heart. You would feel like a certain emotional feeling. And then That's the second brain. The third brain is the motor, instinctual, sexual center, this one in red. So to sum it up, that basically just refers to your physical experience. What are you doing with your hand gestures? What does it feel like to go walking? What does it taste like to eat a certain food? So depending on what we're doing, there might be one of these centers being prioritized. So if you're taking a math test, you're probably prioritizing your intellectual center. And if you're listening to your favorite piece of music, or you're bonding with your best friend, that's probably an emotional experience. And if you're going on a walk or playing a sport, that would be mainly focusing on your physical center. So I'm only saying all of this because we want to observe what's going on within ourselves. Because remember, the klipot manifests in all sorts of ways. And that's why we talk about astrology. That's why we have the Myers-Briggs tests, all sorts of different unique makeups, because this veil is a particular design for each person, but we all have it and it's all very deep. So this is why we observe ourselves. So that's all you do is what am I doing? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? We just don't try and think about these questions. But again, I'm only saying this to touch your consciousness with it, to be the observer, to feel what it's like. What does it feel like? And just feel it. You don't need to think about it, but you just observe yourself. You go throughout your day, you do all the things you would usually do, but in the sort of backseat. So you're observing, but you're not identified. And so everything actually starts as a physical experience first. So if someone were to come in here and make a comment towards me, like I'm silly for like wearing a suit, recording this video, okay, I would receive that physical impression, and then I would have an emotional reaction. I would then have an intellectual reaction. And a lot of us might find it easier to get sucked into the intellect or to get sucked into the emotions. But what we want to do is go into the root original reaction, which is always physical first, because that was a physical trigger. And the only reason I'm having emotional and intellectual responses is because of the physical trigger. So that's where we want to go, is sit in those feelings and be in that discomfort of the reaction, so that we don't actually act on the reactive nature, but instead sit with it and put our awareness on it and really feel what it's like. So maybe I would tense up in my gut, or maybe I would my fists would clench up. Okay, what does that physical experience feel like? And then I'll be able to keep my awareness while still totally feeling it. And this is hard because the animal nature within us will instantly want to react. And what we want to do as spiritual warriors is to experience the sensation of the reactive nature instead of acting on it. And when we do that, we bring light into those reactive dark pockets. And that's how we dissolve the klipot and reveal the light. So a good mantra is, okay, I just feel this reaction. I feel this now. Let me feel this. What a pleasure this is. I choose to feel this. This is a pleasure. What a pleasure. What a pleasure that I feel scared. What a pleasure that I feel like I want to smack this person in the face. What a pleasure. Because I'm seeing that which is blocking me from the light. And what am I here to do? Connect to the light. So this is exactly what I need. So this is how we would live in our life. We take the back seat, we observe, and when we feel that reactive nature, we sit with it and go into it and really put our attention on those physical sensations and feel them entirely. So a lot of people might find this confusing, because what does it really mean to be reactive, and how do I know that I'm being aware and not acting on my reactive nature? If there is anything that bothers us, that is where we can be reactive. When we don't feel bothered by what a person says to us or what's going on in our physical surroundings, then we are acting like the light. But wherever we are being reactive, like if I was to react and say something because I was still triggered, then I would not be acting like the light. I would be disconnecting. So what does it mean to be reactive? When we talk about this, you'll be able to understand whether you're acting with the awareness or not. To be reactive is anything you think or do or say from a place of lack in order to receive instant gratification. So if I lash out at someone because I'm angry, that's reactive. Because I felt lack, I felt fear, I wanted to gain something, I wanted the release, the gratification of yelling to resolve that lack. And so this is what we're teaching, is not how to resolve that lack through external actions, but rather disintegrating the lack in the first place, because we always know how to act. We always have the right vibration of happiness and fulfillment and wholeness within ourselves. What we need to do is disintegrate that which is blocking us from that. So how do you do that? You feel the lack, you feel the fear, and you bring your awareness into it and get so detailed with what it physically feels like, what it emotionally feels like, and you sit with that. So you can journal, you can talk it out and process this with a person that is willing to listen to you, like a therapist or something. The best thing to do is to really meditate and sit with it, because this is where your consciousness, the awareness within you, can really sink all of that light into that reactive nature. And when you bring the light into the reactive nature, then it gets dissolved. And then this is what we do as our vessel goes through the physical gym of life. We get these triggers, we see the clouds, and that's good. And then we go into it. We don't react, but we feel what that sensation is like. What are the physical sensations? Relax your body and notice where you really want to tense up, and notice what your emotions are, and really feel it, and feel it totally. And this is good. Now it's like lifting a weight, like you're working out your biceps or something. Like, yeah, it's not that comfortable, but you're growing, and that's exactly what you want. It's actually really good. And it's much better than just not going to the gym and having and just not being a presentable person because you never worked on yourself. So this is what we need to do spiritually. A lot of us, when the klipot feels so strong, forget that the light is actually there. So if there's anything you take away from this video, it's that the light is always there. The light is always there. What is the light to which I am referring? Well, what did it feel like when you were in love? What did it feel like when you were with your favorite pet? What did it feel like when you were painting and you just found it really enjoyable to paint? These are all manifestations of the light. Those are colors of the light, but it's all from the same white light, that light that we have within ourselves. And even when you're feeling extremely scared or insecure or just overwhelmed, you can feel that while still being connected to the light. And that's very powerful, because that's how you disintegrate these clouds, is when you feel it, and you still feel it, but you're still on the vibration of the light, even though you're feeling it. That way you're actually feeling it. And when you actually feel it, you actually bring light to whatever is your klipot. So I hope that this video is helpful. If you guys, this is an overview. So just let me know if you guys want to talk about anything else. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out.